Hello and welcome to the Stephen Mendes channel that explains everything you want to know about the gear that we use here on the Stephen Mendes channel. Today we're talking FA06. Let's turn it on. Okay, now there's two different ways to program the buttons, sliders and knobs of your FA06. One is using the editor software and the other is using the edit function here. Now I demonstrated in a previous video how to program do a program change using these four buttons here with the EMT sound module. What I did not make clear is that these are saved in to whatever memory map happens to be current at the time. You do not have to do anything to save it into a memory map. Whenever you make a change to any of these surfaces, any of these knobs, sliders or buttons, it automatically makes that change in whatever map is current and it saves it. If you change the map number and go back to the map, it's there. If you turn off the power and go back to it, it's there. So it's quite possible to modify a map on the fly within here. So if you do have a map that you want to keep and you don't want it to get damaged, the best thing to do is to save the maps on your computer using the editor. The other thing that I did not make clear to the users of the Roland A-800PRO is that you can have a Sysex message of as many as 24 bytes associated with each of these buttons. So it becomes possible to program this button to completely alter a setting in, for example, our D110, where you have to send a complete string of system exclusive hex bytes in order to effect a change in the parameter of the sound. So we can program that from here using one or any of these buttons, and we can actually, for example, change something in the filter or something even in the keyboard where you have to make changes using the Sysex messages to the parameters. So we can have a 24 byte Sysex message associated with any button. Let us take a look. You have to scroll back over here till the underline is on control map. As you can see, the present control map is 8. Now if I press the button, it latches. Notice it's latched because the red light is on the button. It goes back to its normal thing, and when I press it to turn it off, it sends another message of 0. But that does not happen with these unlatched buttons. When I press them down, they go to 127, and when I release them, they go back to 0. You can name it as well. See, that says initialize 3, so you can provide a name for the function if you wish to. But in order to provide a name for the function, you probably have to do it in the editor. You can't do it on the fly here. Notice that when I press B4, it goes to 74 there and then resets. Now I want to show you what happens with the Sysex. You can name your control maps on the computer as well. For example, I created 10. Control map 10 here is Zeta. In other words, all these sliders and knobs were set up to control my Zeta software program. And I have another one called Moog. And that has all the settings for my Moog Arturia Modular 2 Moog in the software. So this is the perfect companion for your computer software synths. let's go back to the one that says DP Solo. This DP Solo is a factory map which you may or may not need, and you don't want it, you can just always delete it, overwrite it, change it, or whatever. I have everything saved on the computer so I can get back the original stuff. Now I want to show you what happens if you press these buttons when they're programmed to send a complete sequence of Sysex bytes. Notice that the colon after the B number flashes a few times, and then once the bytes are set, it's done. I'll press B2. Watch it carefully now in the display. See the colon flashing several times after the B2 is pressed? That means that it's just transmitted a sequence of bytes whenever that button is pressed. So that's good news for you people. And you can realize that you can change these control maps using your software editor program, which of course is the preferred way, or you can change it on the fly using the edit function here by pressing the two of these. And when you do that, that allows you to set it up. So we're going to do one now in the back in the 8. See that we have 8 set up with our latching button. It latches to 127 and then it goes back to 0. Let's change that to a program change number. How would I do that? Well, I would press edit, then I would press the button itself and the button would be flashing there. Then I would press enter to select that button, and I can select the change. I would prefer to have it as a program change in this case. So I press the program change and I press enter. Then I can select the MIDI channel I want this button to operate on. We leave it at channel 1. And then I select the program change number. I'll set it to 13. And then I'm done. So the amount of, whenever I press that B1 now, see it goes 13 there for a short while and disappears. Now there's nothing there to indicate that it's a program change. It could as easily have been a control change. So there's a limited amount of information you can get from the display depending on what you've set. You understand what I'm saying? And it's not quite as detailed as you might like. It's only a 2-line display, but it does give you some indication of what has been set. Now if I go back to the maps and I change it to another map, that's automatically gone to 9 or gone to 10. If I come back to the 8 again, it has remembered everything that I just did, and it remembers it on power off as well. You see, it's set transmitted program 13 is associated with button B1 on that map. So I'm sorry, I'm standing up right next to the air purifier and I forgot to turn it off, so that's why you're hearing all that rushing in the background. That's the wind from the air purifier I have here. I was so quick and anxious to make the video that I just left it on, but I'm sure you can still hear what I said. And as I said, that clears up for a lot of people how their A-800PRO works. You can't break it. Feel free to assign anything you want to any of these sliders or buttons on any map, but make sure that you back up the maps on your PC. Otherwise you will not have them, because if you go and reprogram them and you don't have them backed up, and it can take quite a while, to set up all of them within your software or even within your hardware. So it's best to save it on the computer with a name. That's why, like, I have Moog and I have Zeta, so that when I'm using Zeta I just go to control map Zeta and I'm good, and I save it on the computer, so if it gets mucked up in the 800 Pro, I can get it back. Thanks for watching the Stephen Mendes channel, and we are here to help you with your musical equipment. Have a great day. Bye.